Great. Here we are. Yeah, all right. Well, hey everyone. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Claire. I'm one of the leaders of the product team on Hylo, and also, yeah, part of the partnerships and communications team, touching all parts of the ecosystem. And I I'm so happy to be with all of you here today to share about what we've been up to with Hylo. The last time we had a stakeholders call was in the fall, so we are well overdue, and we've been doing a lot of work. So yeah, we're excited to present and connect with all of you and share what we've been up to. Um, we are actually, two of us on this call are calling in from Ohlone territory in what is colonially known as Oakland, California, the East Bay of the Bay Area bioregion. That's the home of Terran Collective. And yeah, I just want to take that moment to honor and respect the land that we are representing here today. And the context of this call, this is our stakeholder circle. So we see stakeholders as anyone who is participating in the community project that is Hylo. So that is people using the platform, community leaders creating their groups and stewarding them here, our partners that we co-create Hylo with, and the communities that are touched by this work. We hope that this work has a positive impact on the communities that engage with Hylo. That is our goal, and all of those communities are stakeholders. And beyond that, you know, the more than human community and the earth herself are stakeholders, and we are aiming to support all of those beings in the work that we're doing with this platform. And so we want to report out and be sharing with our stakeholders what is happening and involving you all in this project as much as we can. And our hope is that more and more and more we can be drawing from the brilliance in this room and in our entire community of stakeholders to truly co-create a tool that can serve the world that works for all. So thank you so much, all of you, for the energy that you bring to this community. It really means a lot to us. Yeah, all right. So I'm gonna share my screen. I have a little bit of a deck that we'll be using to illustrate some of what we're sharing today. And this is our agenda. We have some exciting team updates. We have new resources to offer to our stakeholders. Spoiler alert, community calls are incoming, more of them. I'll share about partnerships and some exciting community news. We will share about some user testing that we're doing. Tibet will share a development update, and then we'll have plenty of time for conversation. So let's get to it. First, a quick report on the state of communities on Hylo. We run this database poll just ahead of these calls and see who are the active communities on Hylo right now. So these are the communities that had over 10 posts per month, so the most active communities. And a lot of these are groups that we are in deep relationship with, but some of them are groups that I have never heard of. And that makes me really happy. I know a lot of them are new groups, up and coming groups, and some of them are groups that have been on the platform for a long time. So it's awesome to see growth happening on Hylo. There is always a lot of organic growth. And again, we haven't been doing any like marketing or anything like that, but the community continues to grow via word of mouth, and we love that. So thank you for any communities that you've shared Hylo with, because we're seeing more and more people participating. It's really fun. And the kind of groups we want to be serving, right? Like there's some really awesome, inspiring groups on this list. Yeah. So without further ado, I want to introduce some of our new Hylo stewards. So first of all, Krisha is on this call. She had just joined us last time, but we didn't have a chance to properly introduce Krisha, who is our new stakeholder advocate. So if you have been chatting into Intercom in Hylo lately, you have definitely interacted with Krisha. She has a background in business development and all kinds of operations, but is especially passionate about holistic wellness, regenerative living, social justice, and earth-based traditions. She's a healer and studying Ayurveda, and yeah, is an all-around amazing human who is based in San Francisco, so part of our bio region. So we're stoked to have Krisha on the team. She's an incredible human. And next, we have added a couple of engineers to our team. So I'll briefly introduce them. We have Sofia, hailing from Mexico City. Sofia is a great human. She's an artist, a musician, a producer of electronic music, and also a coder. And so it's been special having her on the team and bringing all of those different perspectives to the team. And last but not least, we have Annie. Annie is located all the way over in Washington, D.C., but we're so happy to have her on the team, and is a newer computer programmer, I guess you could say. She went to General Assembly, which is the same boot camp that I went to when I was learning how to code, and has been a great addition to the team. And she's also really passionate about engaging with her her community in Belize, where she is originally from. So those are some new faces that you might see around building Hylo, or yeah, on community calls going forward. So with that introduction to Krisha, I'm going to pass it over to Krisha for the next few slides, and she's going to share about some new resources that we are excited to introduce to y'all.
Thank you, Claire. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be on this call with y'all. I'm engaged with a lot of you on intercom and on video calls, so it's nice to see everyone in this one space. So one of the big projects I've been focused on is creating documentation, user manuals to help all stakeholders understand the ins and outs of Hylo from a moderator perspective and a user perspective. So we really see these as living docs, and I'll be continuously updating them as we have new developments and changes with Hylo. So yeah, those will constantly be updated. The first one, the moderator guide, is catered for community leaders and group admins, and it goes in the ins and outs of Hylo from a moderator perspective. So it will go through all types of admin privileges that you have, but it also does have best practices for moderators to create engagement and building and help you build a thriving online presence with Hylo. The user guide is definitely more user focused, is a really in-depth walkthrough, of the features that we have on the platform. And then finally, we also have the quick start guide, which is a shortened version of the user manual. It's only 3 pages compared to the 30 pages of the in-depth guide, but it's a high level overview for users that we envision group moderators and community leaders sending to their users prior to joining Hylo. And it's something that can be edited and curated by group moderators to make it more specific for your group. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please do reach out via feedback and support, and we can navigate that together. I use Canva to edit those guides. So if you're not familiar with it, it's a really fun and easy tool to use to make these really beautiful visuals and documentation. And all of these are available via feedback and support through Hylo. If you go and click on your photo icon and you click on feedback and support, those docs will be listed there. And if you have any comments, feedbacks, yeah, any requests, please send that my way via feedback and support is great. I want these to work best for you, and however I can edit them or update them so that they're more useful. That's really my goal with those. And we also have a gitbook. These docs will be housed in there as well, which is basically a wiki for Hylo, and we'll be updating other docs in there as it relates to Hylo, new developments, features, and any content related to Hylo will also be going into that wiki. So the link is there. We'll also be sending it out after this call. And yeah, we'd love for you to check it out.
Thanks so much, Krisha. Yes, we're very excited to have this documentation, and we're definitely going to keep working on it. We would, yeah, like Krisha said, we'd love to get feedback. And if there's any content also that you feel inspired to contribute, that would be very, very, very welcome. So we would love for this documentation effort to be a community effort.
So community calls, this is something that we're really excited to be hosting. Yeah, you could consider them office hours, but it's a space for us to connect directly with our Hylo community real time. And we'll be hosting these bi-monthly on Mondays. The first one is actually this coming Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be alternating between 10 a.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. Pacific time. We have a lot of users all over the world, and we're trying to navigate how best we can host these to involve everyone. But this would be a good space for you to drop in and connect with us directly with your questions, comments, or feedback. You know, how best can I onboard my community? What are ways I can maximize my use of the features? And have real-time dialogue with us and other Hylo users. So we envision this being a really great space to build that community.
Cool. Yeah. And for now, we're just going to start with Zoom for these, but we've gotten a lot of great feedback about other potential platforms that can offer a different experience. So we're going to be exploring that and hopefully bringing some of those into the mix as well. Because, you know, Zoom, we can try something different at this point.
Thanks, Claire.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to share a little bit about partnership updates and new communities joining the platform. And then I'll be turning it over to Neha. So we've been on this journey with a partner called Open Team. It stands for Open Technology Ecosystem for Agricultural Management. And we've been working with them since July on how to extend Hylo to really serve the regenerative agriculture space and movement. And what we've discovered over the course of a long multi-stakeholder design process are features that we're building now that are great for their specific audience, but also awesome for everyone and will be released for everyone on Hylo. And we're talking about things like a group directory, so people can actually search for groups that are relevant to them and find groups nearby to join. So you'll hear more from Tibet about that in a moment, but the features that we're going to be releasing with them are really exciting. And so we have an announcement about that partnership, and then we have a really in-depth report about the discovery work we did together. And I think Krish is going to drop those in the chat if anyone would like to learn more about that. But we're in the process of starting to test those features, and then we'll be releasing them over the course of March and April, and then doing additional testing with those communities and onboarding them over the course of like spring and summer. So a lot of good stuff coming out of this partnership that we're really excited to share. Yeah, and just to say a little bit more about that, that also includes some work on our API, opening up our API so that we can start to do more integrations with communities, and work on place-based features so that groups can be associated with a specific geographic region and have not just like a point on the map for content, but share like a shape for the territory that a group is concerned with. So this is really great for bioregional groups, which is a community that we really want to serve, and for land stewards that are connected with specific land. All kinds of groups are place-based on Hylo, and so we're debuting some fun features to serve that. The features that we released, I just saw a chat from Sarah that I'm going to respond to. These features will be available for everyone. Yes, and Krisha got to it. Yeah, everyone will have access to this. It's just a general feature set that they have shaped with us, but is designed for use by everyone. Yeah. And that's how we work in general. Like, we find partnerships with groups that have a very aligned vision as we do, and we spend time in co-creative design sessions to think about how we can serve the needs of that particular group as an example user, but representing obviously all kinds of different groups beyond what they do. So another group that we've been working with is called ProSocial. We are huge fans of the ProSocial framework and community. It's a great book. If you have not come across this, I highly recommend. Their work is based on the work of Eleanor Ostrom's Governing the Commons. And I know a lot of people in our community are familiar with ProSocial. We've been working with the team behind this work for a while now, maybe about 2 years now. And we just keep going deeper with them. They're going to be onboarding they are already using Hylo, and they're going to be onboarding more and more groups in their ecosystem onto Hylo this year. And yeah, they have a lot of ideas for how to improve Hylo, and we're going to be, I think, working together to figure out exactly what they need and bring that into the mix of our roadmap and where we go next. So we're going to dive deeper with ProSocial. Another group I'm super excited to bring into the circle here is Salmon Nation. Salmon Nation is a nature state that represents the historical habitat of Pacific salmon. So it spans all the way from northern Alaska to the Bay Area bioregion. And there's a really cool group behind this that is, yeah, it's a bioregional group. It's one of the most organized place-based groups that I've come across. And they do a lot of work with their indigenous communities across this watershed, and especially sharing their stories and sharing methodologies that work well. They're looking for stories of what works from the furthest edges of the bioregion, and specifically what works in creating a just, healthy, thriving world, and then transmitting those stories around this territory. So we're in a conversation with them about how to maximize Hylo to support their network and the many different initiatives that they have going on. So more to come there, very exciting. And the last piece on this slide is about the platform co-op movement and co-ops in general. And this is more of a Tibet thing to share. So if you want to jump in real quick and share about that.
Sure, yeah. I've been really excited to see a growing movement of folks in the co-op world moving on to Hylo. So the Platform Co-op Consortium is kind of a network of folks working on platform co-ops, led by Trevor Schultz, who's done a TED Talk on platform co-ops. And they're moving on to Hylo because we are working towards becoming a platform co-op. And one of the main or few, can we have folks mute? Or maybe Claire, you could mute them. Yeah, we're one of the few kind of social platforms out there that is really committed and moving step by step more and more towards being really a cooperative. And these calls are part of that, bringing our stakeholders into the process of how we're building Hylo. Also, Exit to Community, another group led by Nathan Schneider, who is a professor who's written a lot about co-ops and platform co-ops. And we're in a conversation with Zebras Unite, which is another big network of folks in the co-op world, about partnering with them. So yeah, lots of movement there that I think just feels super aligned with everything we're trying to do.
Cool, thanks, Tibet. All right, so, oh, I think I missed a slide. Okay, so this is over to Neha for some of how we're working with the Open Team community.
Great. Thanks so much, Claire and Tibet. And it's so great to see everyone dial in here. We're so excited to share all of these updates with you. And we wanted to go a little bit more deeply on what it means to be engaging those who we are building technology with. So you've heard us say time and time again that we really value co-creation and transparency and being inclusive. And this is a glimpse into how we're doing that. So we've created so many features and we have so many features coming up. But in order to do this in a really good way, we want to build these things with people, not just for them. So we've created a land steward co-creation process. And we're inviting people into a 4-week cohort to give feedback on the current platform and inform current features. So we're engaging mainly with land stewards this time around because our focus is so much more on regenerative agriculture and really building a feature set that could support healthy soil and bioregions and people and all species. And a lot of this starts with listening to those who we're creating things with and for. So our first session will just be a general welcome and have folks introduce themselves. Session 2 will go into what are the tools that are needed to thrive? What does the day-to-day look like? And how can we really explore ways that a platform could empower and uplift all of the incredible work that land stewards do every single day? And session 3 is when we'll go into Hylo and have more reflections on the designs. And session 4 will be more feedback. And we hope that this initiates just a much larger cohort of folks who are engaged and inspired by and empowered to co-create Hylo with us. So this is just the first of a cohort that we'll do like this, and we'll have many more soon focusing on different perspectives and bringing all the voices that are needed into the conversation with us. And if you have any thoughts on what this could look like or who you'd like to have included, we'd love to find a way to collaborate with you. So find me on Hylo. You can DM me, Neha Sharma. I'm in the Building Hylo group. I'm in a lot of the groups that have been mentioned in the chat as well. And feel free to just reach out to me on Zoom chat as well, and we can get something set up. But we wanted to just share a glimpse of how we're actually doing this rather than just telling you that we're doing it. And we'll have some exciting updates on what came out of this initiative, likely in our next stakeholder call.
Yes,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much, Neha. All right, time for a development update with Tibet.
Sweet. Yeah, you can just move straight to the next slide. So yeah, we've been doing a lot with our small but growing team. We now have, you met Sofia and Annie briefly via slide earlier on the call, and Tom is also on the call, and Lauren are 2 other full-time developers. So we have 5 developers now, and Aaron does a little bit of development still once in a while, but mostly focuses on design. So yeah, some of the stuff we've released over the past few months, I mean, there's a continuous bunch of just bug fixes and small improvements. I'll post the link to our releases page on GitHub for people that really want to follow. We also post in Building Hylo every time we do significant releases, especially. But some of the things you hopefully have noticed or might notice recently is that just loading hylo.com should be much faster, especially if you have a bunch of groups that you're in. For me, being in 40 groups or so, it's made a big difference. And the mobile app is also about a new, the next update to the mobile app, which should be out any day now, will significantly improve the load time there as well, which is really important. People are used to things being snappy, and we're getting there. Many improvements to the messages experience. We also just rolled out a bunch of just a kind of UI, UX changes that should make it much easier to use and clearer what's going on, and kind of pave the way for some bigger functional improvements soon. We finally added the map to the mobile app. That was kind of one of the main things that was missing there. So that's really exciting. Stuff you may not notice as much, but we've done a lot of work recently on the sort of sign up and registration flow, adding a lot more security best practices, and yeah, improving that whole flow a bunch. Kind of related to that, this is something you won't notice yet, but we've done a bunch of work to prepare Hylo to be what's called an OAuth or OpenID Connect provider, which means that anywhere someone has, signed into this website with Facebook or with Google or with Twitter, they could add a sign in with Hylo. And so this is something that still needs more testing. We're working on this with Open Team, but it's something that will provide a lot of value and power to our ecosystem over time, because Hylo can become your profile and can be used then across sites who want to be working with a kind of identity and data provider that's more ethical than the Facebooks of the world, and not doing sketchy things with people's data. So that's really exciting and something we're really stoked to build on. And then, yeah, some other small things just to mention among everything else that's going on. You can now deactivate or delete your account. That was really important. Previously, people had to email us, but very important part of the platform and for supporting GDPR. And some small things like you can add any number of attachments to a post and you'll be able to see all of them now. It used to just show the first 6. You can specify locations for posts as lat-long coordinates. But there's a lot more of those small things that have been going on as well. And then if you want to move on to the next slide. What we're working on right now, what you're going to see very soon coming is, first of all, a group explorer. We think this is going to be a really huge addition to Hylo. A lot of people join Hylo and then they're like, oh, I don't know what to do because they weren't necessarily invited to a group. But there are a bunch of public groups on Hylo, and you can find them in the public map right now, but it's not super clear, and you can't really search by topic. And so this is going to be a way to find groups to join on Hylo and projects to participate in, and search by topic, find groups that are near you to get involved in. Really like key to our vision of creating this kind of mycelial network of people collaborating on important projects around the world. So that is coming very soon. We're very excited about that. You'll also see a much improved and faster map experience soon. And we're going to be adding additional layers, so like satellite view, indigenous territories, so people can see where they are, connect more with their history and the land that they're on. And then eventually things like climate zone and hardiness zone and stuff that's particularly useful to perhaps farmers, but another way to connect people more and more with the land that they're on. And also be able to click on the map and create a post in a location directly. Kind of related to that is adding place-based groups. And this is, again, connected to our work with Open Team, but also much beyond this, we want to be able to support local communities that have regional boundaries, kind of like in Nextdoor. If you've used Nextdoor before and you join a neighborhood group, we'll start to be able to have bioregional groups that are within your watershed, and you'll be able to connect with and find people within that region and collaborate together. Also adding group types for different special groups that have unique features or data on the platform, starting with farms, but soon expanding to all kinds of things like courses that might want to customize the interface a little bit for like an educational cohort. Different things like that. So there's a lot of power there. And it's part of another move that we're making, which is just to add more group customizability, being able to, for example, change the name of a moderator to whatever you use within your community, like steward or admin, and being able to customize the views and the navigation bar, stuff like that, all coming very soon. And then some very basic stuff that's really, really important, like text formatting in posts is about to roll out, being able to bold and italic and add lists and headers and things like that. And then adding video embeds so that a YouTube video will play directly in the post. Very important, very like basic stuff that people expect and is coming very soon. And finally, we are working on the first versions of APIs to make it possible for data to flow in and out of Hylo and integrate with other platforms. So that's going to be a huge part of Hylo moving forward as well. So that's kind of our short into medium term roadmap. There's a lot more coming the rest of the year. And we're still kind of sorting out some of the longer term roadmap, which we will be sharing more of soon. That's it.
Amazing. Thanks, Tibet. Great. Wow. Well, I can't believe we just breezed through that in a little over 30 minutes. That means that we have the rest of the time for conversation. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if folks have questions, I would like to invite you to raise your hand, and we'll try to keep track of the stack and call on you when it's your turn. And you can also drop a question in the chat and we can respond to you there too. Okay, I see a hand from Anita. Go for it.
question is, I don't know what an API is, so that would help me to know what that is, so I know what you're doing. Thanks.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sometimes I forget the context. Yeah, it stands for Application Program Interface, I think, something like that. But it basically just is ways for one platform, one application to send data to another one, or back and forth. So if you're like integrating, people will pull data from a Google Sheet or an Airtable into their Notion or a Miro board into something. There's just like all kinds of integrations that you're using. On Slack, it has tons of integrations where you can have your Google Calendar show up in your Slack and things like that. So we want Hylo to be able to integrate with a lot of these other platforms. We actually already do have a secret and not actually used because it's not really well tested, Hylo to Slack integration, where you could have your Hylo posts appear in Slack if you wanted to be using both those platforms. But that's an example of the type of integrations that we want to offer. And this starts to allow us to partner with a lot of other platforms that have similar values as us as well, and make sure that we can, people using one platform can be using Hylo and data can be flowing back and forth between them.
Cool. I see a hand from Sarah. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm wondering, when I'm going to public groups and posts, I'm trying to find like the other groups, and I have trouble with that. I'm wondering if it's if you could answer that for me. So let's say if I want to see, I don't know if Open Team is already like a group, or the new communities you mentioned before.
Right. So what you can do right now is you can, when you're in the public posts and groups section of the site, you can look at the map, and the map will show if there's a public group that has a location, those will show up on the map. And then from there, you can open it up and request to join if desired. And that is the only way to discover groups right now, other than being invited to them. And so that's why the group directory that we're about to debut is just such a game changer. So that a lot of the dev work on that is done. So we might actually be releasing that in the short term. So look out for that soon. Yeah. Okay. I see a hand from Jeff. Go ahead.
Hey guys, great to see you again. It's been a while. Awesome job. I just love where you're headed and what you guys have been up to over the last few months since we last chatted. Two things that are kind of still on my radar. Anything happening in tools around decision making and how that fits into the ecosystem. Love to hear anything you've got on that. And here's something, this is a thought that I've had, from very early on in the Hylo days, is a way to cross post. Like, I want to be able to tie my Hylo account to my Facebook account. And when I do a post, I want to have a single thing I click and my post goes to my Facebook. And then I can get off their damn platform, but I can still like engage with people and use it as a teaser, to get them over to Hylo. So those are two comments.
Yeah, those are great. Thank you so much, Jeff. Really good to see you. Yeah, okay, so decision making. This is like so key. And we are working on this. We have some designs. That's one of the things that came up in the collabathon that we had with Open Team. So I don't know if Krisha posted the report on that, but you can see in there that it did come up, and we do have designs and ideas for this. And it's something that we hope to start working on, I think in the spring, summer. Like we have a lot of desires around that. We recognize that a lot of the groups that come on to Hylo are cooperative groups or collective groups with a shared goal. And as such, those groups need tools to do collaborative decision making. And of course, there's a lot happening in the space around DAOs in the crypto world, decentralized autonomous organizations, and there's a lot of tools for those. But what about groups that aren't necessarily in the crypto Web3 ecosystem, but still want to be able to make decisions together, especially in a way that's very, very simple and very user-friendly, and easy for really anyone to navigate? And that's kind of where we want to land. Like, we want to provide tools for proposals, for getting collective approval on something. And we also want to get into allocating resource and helping groups figure out how to allocate a shared pool of resources among themselves. It's a huge topic, so it's something that, yeah, you'll hear more later, and we hope to involve all of you in this conversation as it gets bigger. Yeah, and then the aspect of being able to share a Hylo post to other platforms is something that is making it into our roadmap. We are definitely hearing that people want this, or at the very least being able to share a link to a post that maybe you've marked public and you'd like to be able to share that link, in another social context, and have a preview and have people be able to see that content in another space. So we're hearing that would be really useful for folks. And we will, we'll be working that into the roadmap. Thanks for that. Cool. Yes, I see a hand from Maria.
Hi guys, hello,
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I cannot switch on my camera because the internet connection is really poor in Bali. So yeah, hopefully you will hear what I. If not, just tell me, okay? So first of all, I would like to express deep appreciation and gratitude for all you've done so far, because for me it's like watching a child grow and making first steps. Really, because I was, let's say, at the beginning of the project when I stumbled upon your work. So it's very beautiful, and I am really looking forward to use it to the fullest. But I just have a few questions that I would like to ask here directly. So the first one, what concerns me the most these days is the topic about the centralized internet, because when you can see in the world also the geopolitical situation or whatever, for example, the Kazakhstan was shut down, because it's centralized in each country now. So do you have, I don't know if you're planning to have, or what is the situation with the Hylo and the holochain? I think that's the name. And for example, like your own satellite doesn't have it shut down suddenly. And yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. Very good question. I think that, so the main way that we have been approaching solving this issue is just with our partnership with Hylo and holochain, and planning / hoping to move to holochain when it's really ready for wider adoption and usage. We're obviously not there yet, and it's still early days for them. We in recent conversations with them, we decided that a good way to start taking steps there would be to pick like one feature and build one feature on holochain and integrate that into Hylo. And so we're thinking about, okay, what is that like first piece that we could build on the decentralized or distributed architecture of holochain. So we are thinking about this. We believe that holochain is the best solution that we have found so far for this, and their peer-to-peer hosting of applications and the way that works. It's not, these are not easy problems to solve, and it's not going to happen in the short term, unfortunately. But something we are very much thinking about and care about, and yeah, it's on our radar. Sorry, I don't have more to share on that, but yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe can you mention what do you think the timeline is going to be? I mean, like, for example, the first step you mentioned to try with the one piece.
I don't know if I could give an answer that I would feel confident in right now. I feel confident that we will start working on something this year. I mean, that's a very long timeline, of course, it's only February, but yeah, I don't have, our roadmap is so in flux and in current process. And yeah, we're just still beginning those conversations with a lot of the holochain ecosystem. So I can't really give you a very good answer at the moment.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Okay, maybe a little more of the piece in my mind, because, I just don't want to see your old work to be shut down because of the, centralized internet. So, I mean, it's kind of a priority for me, and maybe I would like to see it as a priority at some more project. But of course, I understand. So thank you very much. And I'll just ask if I can have more questions, or I should pass it to another one.
Let's go ahead and move on to Michael, and then we can come back to you, Maria.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the invitation to attend today. I'll be quick. I just wanted to throw my support to this, decentralized system and working with Hylo. I happen to have a Hylo port. It's taken a long time, but it's been worth the wait. So I'm super glad to hear that you guys are working with them, and let me know how I can support any way I can. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And I'll just add on to what Tibet shared, is that we are actively right now trying to figure out exactly what the scale of our partnership with the Hylo ecosystem can be. And my hope is that we'll actually have a clearer idea, at least of the timeline, pretty soon, like hopefully in the next few months, I think. We want to get clear on our timeline for that too, because it is a huge priority. And we're definitely committed to decentralization one way or another. We have a Hylo port too. And yeah, we have a lot of faith in the Hylo ecosystem. And yeah, we're pretty committed. Cool. Okay. Anyone else? We can go back to Maria if you're the only one with another question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Maria, would you like to share? You said you had additional questions?
Yeah, sorry, because I cannot see if others are raising the hand, so I was waiting for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so because I'm about to do the project, or let's say the movement that we created and we are still building, and it's got somehow spreading already. So this movement will cover a lot of countries. For example, I am from Slovak Republic, and it will also cover Czech Republic, because we are like neighbors, very close to each other. And also now I'm in Bali, so also people from Bali, we just started to get interested. So our movement is going to have, for example, at the beginning, like a slower start, but I think in few months it will raise exponentially. I mean, the members of the movement. So I was waiting till the Hylo will be kind of ready for like a bunch of people to get in this group, and to be able to have, for example, the mobile application ready to be user-friendly, and lots of other things and features. So I just want to ask if you think that Hylo is ready for such a huge group of people, and also if, or my question is basically about how large the group has to be, so I can ask you for some custom-made features, or it's just not possible right now, and it's more for the future. I don't know, because
Mhm.
you have a lot of like organization or initiatives that you are working with some like hidden features, probably. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah. Well, thank you for asking, and thanks for the work that you're doing in the world. Um, we, so yeah, that's a really good question. Depending on the size of the group, I feel like we can probably handle it, but it would be great to know if you're expecting like 100,000 people, we would like to coordinate around that and just do some load testing ahead of time. Because that would be a pretty big jump. Right now, we're like a handful of thousands of people using Hylo monthly. So that would be, yeah, that'd be something we'd want to coordinate with and collaborate on. And we are planning to do a lot of that load testing independently over the course of this year. We have a number of groups that have committed to bringing large communities onto Hylo this year. So we will be growing a lot, and we will be testing, and we are planning to do a public launch in early 2023. And so by that point, we're planning to be very much set up to scale a lot and accept a lot of people onto Hylo. So yeah, we can coordinate around that. That'd be really great. And as for like making requests on features, anyone can make a request about features. We love to hear from everyone. Everyone's ideas are valid and desired, regardless of what size group you are or your group's capacity to contribute funding to support Hylo's open source development. So there's no gate around that. We want to hear from everyone. I think Chris just shared the link to our collaborative roadmap, and there's a link in Building Hylo and the link that we can drop here in a minute to request a feature. And we love it when people do that, because then we get a sense of what is needed by our community, what is desired. And as multiple people start requesting things, that helps us have intelligence around what is really needed by people doing this community organizing work in the world. So if you have ideas, we'd love to hear them, and we could have a one-on-one call or a small group call about it too, to coordinate in more detail. And that's a possibility for everyone. We're a small team, so we don't have time to like have, a million conversations, but for groups that are really motivated and really want to be with us on this mission of creating this tool, we want to work with you as much as we can.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that's basically why I was waiting till this quarter call to not like, make just a small call with you, and maybe some questions can be answered here. So yeah, I don't want to waste someone's time. So of course, I appreciate it. And just can you please repeat the date of the launch, because I couldn't grasp it?
We don't have an exact date, but we're planning for early 2023.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we really want to spend this year making sure that we are super like testing, doing load testing, making sure that moderation is airtight, making sure security is airtight. We're always working on these things, but we are going to be continuing to just really like stress test it all so that we can be prepared to welcome a larger section of humanity onto Hylo.
Sure. And can you please specify a little bit what or how many people and group members can I imagine when we are talking about like the largest group you have now in Hylo?
The largest group now is 1,700 people.
17, right?
Yeah, 1,700.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just making some notes. Okay, perfect. And very thankful for that you mentioned that features could be, from everyone. So it's not just about the largest the groups. Okay, thank you very much for now.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay, I see a hand from Anita.
I was wondering if graduated accountability is going to be something worked on, because that would be so helpful when it comes to moderation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. I love this question. Part of what we're excited to work on with ProSocial is making sure that the Hylo as a platform really leads groups on this journey of creating the most effective groups possible for their community. And one of the core design principles of pro-social is graduated accountability. So as people do things that are helpful behaviors for the group, we want to be rewarding and encouraging these things. And as people do things that violate group agreements, we want to be able to take action and welcome the person into accountability at a scale that matches the gravity of the infraction. So this translates to moderation for an online community platform. And a lot of the platforms out there, moderators kind of have godlike powers. If they disagree with something, they get to kick you out of the group. And it's really not a collective exercise. And that makes it difficult to have a cooperative group because there's an asymmetry of power. And it also just puts a lot of responsibility on that moderator's shoulders that can be a lot to bear, especially if the group becomes lively or contentious and there's just like a lot to handle. So we really see moderation as a collective community exercise. And there's a lot we want to do here. And that's part of the work that we are planning to do over the course of this year in order to prepare for a public launch. Yeah, when I say like airtight moderation. And to be specific, a couple of the things that might look like is every group being able to specify their particular agreements for how you behave with each other in your group. And then when you see content that you feel like is in violation of those agreements, you would be able to specifically flag that and tie it to the agreement you believe it violates. And then we want to create tools for others to be able to say, like, I agree this violates this agreement, or I disagree. And then we can do things like putting a screen in front of that content that you have to click through. So we're not censoring someone, but we are removing it from the immediate flow of information if it is something that many people are finding to be in violation of agreements. So we actually have designs around this. It's something we're super into. And I will try to pull them up and share them while we're chatting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and I promised I'd share the deck. So the deck is right there for Jeff. I know you wanted that. Cool. Okay, any more questions? We're getting close to our time, so I think maybe one more question. And Maria, I see that you still have a hand up. I don't know if that's an old hand or a new hand.
It's a new hand, but you
Okay.
said like one last question. So maybe because I have just like little questions, so maybe I will pass it to something more important.
Okay, well, any thoughts from anyone else? And then I'll pass it back to Maria.
Okay, I'll just express what the question was.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just quickly answer that. So I'm very curious about because what basically the movement want also include is a lot of features that are very good already in the old paradigm, let's say like the Instagram stories format, and I think I've heard, don't know when it was, but you're planning to also put this feature into Hylo to really have like quick connection to the world. And so is it still in the process, or do you know like closer can be the timeline with these handy features?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the embedding of videos is going to be built and released very soon. And the idea around Instagram stories, I really like that. Actually, we have a partner who's developing an open source equivalent of that called Look Into. And that's a really cool thing. They mostly have been working with people in the agriculture space, but it's a way for farmers to like create out of little quick video shots of what they're doing, stitch that together into a little story. And so those are really easy to embed anywhere. So that's a conversation that we've started as a possibility for allowing people to input more engaging video content. But yeah, that's also a thing that we want to explore more. Like, coordination is not all about text interfaces. We really are intrigued by how can we bring in more audio? How can we bring in more video? How can we bring in more visual spaces? Like, what would a Miro integration look like? What would a gather.town or Topia integration look like? So all of those other potential ways that we could be coordinating other than just like writing text to each other, we're intrigued and open to your ideas, all of you.
Thank you so much, because that's what we are looking for. The movement is mostly about like it's interactive and visual. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for very, very much. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's talk more. I'm going to drop my email in the chat and you can reach out. Well, yeah, thanks everyone. We're at almost at the top of the hour here. Really appreciate everyone being here with us, being on this journey with us and participating. We appreciate you and we really value your energy and your ideas. And we want to keep figuring out how to work with you and weave all of your ideas into this space and into this co-creation. Hylo is a community-led project and we couldn't do this without you. So please be a part of building Hylo. I think Tibet just dropped the link for that for anyone that might not be. That's mostly where we have these kind of conversations. And I hope to see all of you at an upcoming community call as well. And yeah, we're just looking forward to connecting more and more with all of you and going deeper. Thanks, everyone.